everybody. My dad thinks his podcast is amazing, so please subscribe, give it 5 stars or whatever, and maybe he'll finally stop talking about it. Anyways, welcome to Sobriety.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the show. I'm Ryan. This is Jess, and we are sober as fuck. Before we get to today's guest, I do want to remind everybody that you can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and also YouTube. Please make sure you're checking us out, sharing, like, subscribe, comment, all the cool shit. Also, for all my NA beverage people out there, I do have a discount code through Athletic. So if you want to save 20% on your order with Athletic, just put in my code RyanStew20, RYANSTEW20, and save you 20% on your favorite Athletic beverages. Also, don't forget to check out our website, ournoon.com, OUR-NOON.com. You like all that?
Sure. You sound like a commercial. You sound like what I would think of in like a 1950s like radio show.
That's kind of what I was going for. That's right.
You know.
And we're back.
Or like Price is Right when they're like presented by Maytag for your everyday needs.
That's right.
You know,
That's me.
like, whatever. It's great.
So I got this whole laundry list of shit to say now. It's kind of crazy.
Whatever he said. Also, quick trigger warning. So we do talk about every subject possible that you can imagine. If it's triggering, we talk about it. So make sure that you're prioritizing yourself. And if anything is discussed that makes you feel a certain way, please, please, please take that seriously and log off. You can always come back to it. We're not going anywhere. Ever.
We're here to stay.
Forever. Do I have sourdough in my hands?
No.
So I've been on this sourdough kick.
Major kick.
I was up until 4:00 in the morning making sourdough the other night, and they turned out like hockey pucks. So I'm going to give it a chance again. But I have found that like I have sourdough in my nails, under my nails. I think I found some in my ear the other day. It's everywhere. It's
all
an
over
infestation.
The kitchen. Yeah. I think it's growing on the floors of the kitchen now.
Yeah. It is.
Star.
My best friend called me. She goes, what is it? It's called a trad wife or whatever. Where you just sit and you cook and clean and take care of kids.
Yeah. That's what you've become?
Sure. Why not?
You become everything you...
If you can't beat them, join them.
I was going to say that you didn't want to be. Amazing.
Yeah, but see, I'm doing it because I want to, not because you're forcing me to. If you told me, get in the kitchen to make sourdough, I would have served you the hockey puck of a loaf that I made the other day.
That sounds about right.
Mm-hmm. I just had to let everybody know I'm making sourdough.
Love it.
For that's a useless piece of information.
Can't wait to try it.
It's in the track if you want to try it right now. So who do we have today?
Today's guest comes all the way from New York City, one of our favorite places to visit. Mm-hmm. She actually has a non-alcoholic bar that she takes to events, which is really cool. Pop up. I love the name. The name is what really got my attention. It's called Bar Nun, N-U-N, which is pretty badass. So she'll give us all the information where you can check her out on her website, where they'll be out in events and stuff like that. We'll also talk about her journey or path to sobriety. Let's please welcome to the show, Cullie Poseria. Hey, Cullie, how are you?
Good. How are you guys?
Good.
Thanks for joining us on the show. We appreciate it.
Of course. Thanks for the opportunity. I guess I'll have to stop by and get some sourdough myself, but
I'll let you know. Whenever it's made and edible. It's not yet.
Did you check the alcohol content of your sourdough? Like what percentage?
I did not. I made my own starter. I didn't use another one. It sat there. I don't know what happened. I made sandwich bread and it turned out great.
That turned out phenomenal.
Yeah.
The sourdough, not so much.
When you tell people there's like a certain percentage of alcohol in bread, they're like, what?
Yeah. It's just fermentation.
It's amazing. Between that and
basically,
between that and bananas, it's just unbelievable.
Something new I learned too when I dove into all of this. So
right.
It's in everything.
So, Cully, give us a little back before we get into your sobriety journey. Give me a little background on the NA bar, the pop ups, how that came about, the name, all the
Yeah,
good stuff. Give me all the deets.
of course. So I stopped drinking a couple years ago, and I always loved nightlife. I went to undergrad in New York, and so I was just looking for places to hang out that were a little bit more sober friendly or even just had more options. And there just wasn't a lot around at that time. The one bar that I went to was Hecate, check that out. But I just thought I want something in my neighborhood. And also at that time, I was volunteering, giving swimming lessons locally in the community. And I had been working in corporate before, and to be doing something more community oriented and one on one, sometimes, or one on group based work, realized that I really want to do something that's more community oriented. I miss doing something that's impactful locally. And so that's when I had the idea for the bar was, oh, I want to have a community space. It's more than just a bar. I want to have events around wellness, tech, and arts, which are all areas of my background. And that's a way to bring people together. It's more than just, oh, we're just coming here to get drinks. It's actually going to be a space where people can connect and eventually offer memberships or, other opportunities as well. And I also want to have vegetarian dining in that
Oh, I
space
love
as
that.
well. So, yeah, I'm working on doing pop-ups right now, looking for funding. And then once I kind of get the funding in place, then I'll start looking for a space in the Bushwick Ridgewood area of New York.
Uh-huh. That's really cool. So like do you plan on like once you have a space like being able to like rent it out for different events and things like that? Because I know a lot of
Yes.
people do that too.
Yes, definitely. I've been connecting with different community organizers and just like event organizers in New York, and I want them to be able to come to my space and use it to host their events too. So it's going to be a place where like we support the community, we support other local businesses. That's my goal. I don't want it to just be like, okay, we're just a bar, you just come in, you no, I want to like actually get to know people and people to come back and see familiar faces. So,
I really like
yeah.
that. Yeah, how'd you come up with a name?
It just I don't know, it just came to me. It's like I just woke up one morning and I was like, I know the name. And I pitched it to some people who were like, "Nah, don't do that. Like that's too much, that's too risky." But what I realized when I had the idea for the name was that this area where I live is primarily Catholic. And so, in a way, it kind of celebrates that we have a lot of churches in this neighborhood. So, if you walk around, literally, like, there's a church every few blocks. It's kind of crazy. And then, not only that, we're on the cemetery belt of New York. So, it's just a very fitting name. I myself am more of a spiritual person. I'm not particularly religious, so I don't want the space to have overtly religious symbols, but I want it to kind of celebrate that feeling you get when you get into like a religious space, whether it's a church or whether it's a temple, synagogue, whatever that space is. There's a sense of peace and calmness that comes. But then also, when you go to churches, there's a little bit of an edginess. There's this dark and light. Like you see sometimes crazy paintings in churches, and you're like, wow, that's dark. And so I like that edge of the dark and light. It makes for a good nightlife space, I think, and it's also very Brooklyn appropriate because
Yeah.
there's a lot of spaces like that here that are,
Mhm.
like there's like a punk rock bar, there's just like different you can find something new anywhere you go here, and this is something that again is trying to take a piece of the history of the local neighborhood, but also figure out how to make it a little bit more modern. And it's crazy to be in a city like New York and be like, oh wait, there's one sober bar here, like in this huge city.
Mhm.
And what's crazy? It's been about a year since I registered my business, and like 5 other places have opened. Now there's also like kava bars and some other types of
Sure.
spaces available too, but it's a growing movement and there's definitely demand here. So, it's I'm excited to bring something that's needed too. It's not just like, oh, I just want to open this. It's like, no, I've had a lot of people ask me like, where is it? I'm like, it's not open yet. They're like, I'm ready. I'm where I want to go. And when I'm being very mindful in choosing the name. I've spoken to a lot of people, pitched the name to a lot of people before I said, okay, I'm for sure using this name, just to see what people thought. And especially now that I have the logo, people get it. Now that people see the website, they get it, and they're like, okay. And I actually even went as far as talking to like a priest. I talked to a nun. Like I talked to people that are religious too, and some people have asked whether, I think you had even asked if I want to have it in a church. Like I want to take over a church and have it as a bar there. And when I spoke to people who are religious, they're like, that would be sad because those places are meant for worship. And I want to respect that. I don't want to try and have it in a church. But to recreate that environment is really more of the goal. So.
Because it is, I mean, it's not necessarily a worship, but it is a community of,
That's the big thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is a form of
That's
worship because you are existing in that space and lifting each other up. So I 100% get it. I think that it's great. And I think that it'll most certainly work. And Brooklyn also too is like huge up and coming. I have a friend I went to high school with, and she lives in Brooklyn, and she was a librarian at the Brooklyn Library for a little while. I don't think she works there anymore. But I remember like when we first graduated and she graduated from college, and I saw she was living in Brooklyn, and I still had that preconceived, very judgmental notion of like, oh, why do you want to live in Brooklyn? But it is like, it's great. I mean, it's become it's like one of the places to be.
Yeah, definitely. It's getting as expensive as Manhattan.
Right.
So
Everywhere.
Everywhere is, it seems like. Jesus. Well, so you've been sober for a couple years now. What was it that made you, basically change your relationship with alcohol, or, question your relationship with alcohol? If you could talk about that.
Yeah. I had kind of like, I've had up and down relationships with alcohol throughout my life. And when I moved to New York, I was moving from Indiana. It was like kind of post-pandemic, and we had been drinking at home, like my ex and I, occasionally. But when I moved to New York, it's like everyone wanted to go out and drink. So I was suddenly drinking a lot. And I also was going through a lot because I just made an out of state move. I had a big breakup. I also, unfortunately, a month after I moved, got laid off from my job. So and then the apartment that I found didn't work out either. There was a whole bunch of problems, like hazardous issues with that apartment. And so I was also like scrambling to find a place to live. I also got scammed. I was going through everything at that time. And so my friends wanted to go out and drink, to hang out and catch up. And I don't know, I was just drinking way more than I was used to. And I was having a lot of like detrimental health effects because of it, because I was already so stressed out. I didn't realize how much of an impact it was having on me. And my friend and I were talking, and she was just like, what if you just stop drinking for a month? And I was like, nah, like, I was like, know about stopping drinking. Okay, yeah, I'll do that. And then I did, and then I just didn't go back. I just, I decided that my digestion was better, my sleep was getting better, my skin was getting better. I mean, even my relationships started to get better. I didn't really see a reason to go back. And I'm not saying it was like easy for me to just switch it off, but I finally saw how alcohol was not serving me. And do I still sometimes think about having a drink? Sure. What I realized though is sometimes I just need a hug or have a drink. Because I'm here, my family's in California, and that's a little bit hard sometimes. So it's realizing what alcohol was doing and what I need to do now to fill that gap.
So what was like your biggest realization? It sounds like your story's a lot like mine, where you're like, yeah, I think I'm just gonna like not drink for a month or so, like just kind of give my body time to reset. And then you're like, shit, like I feel great. I think I'm gonna keep this going. What
Yeah.
was your big pivotal moment where you realized, like, this is going to be something long term for me?
I don't know if I had that moment. I think I went a year, like, well, so first off, when I initially stopped, I was like, okay, I feel better, and I just like noticed what was happening. And about 3 months in, I was like, wow. 6 months in, I was like, wow.
Mm-hmm.
So it just kept getting better.
Yeah.
And that was something, where it's like, okay, you could do dry January or sober October, but what if you took a year off? Like, that's when you
Mhm.
really start to see the benefits. And I had a performance coach at the time tell me that alcohol stays in your system, like in your gut, for like 3 days.
Not
So,
wild.
yeah. And I was just like, ooh. And I was also, with all the mental health challenges that I had and I've had throughout my life, I've never had a therapist or anyone ever tell me anything about my drinking, never questioned it. And also, I just find that this word addiction that we use is very strange in the US because the amount of drinking that we do here is a lot.
Mhm.
I'm like, when does it cross over to addiction? And also, drinking is not necessarily considered addiction. And almost what I was doing, going out with my friends, was binging. I wasn't like, oh, I need a drink every day, but I was, I'd go out and drink too much sometimes, and that really disrupts everything. I got really, really sick actually too before I had spoken to my friend. I got I was like bedridden for like 2
Mm.
weeks, and I think it all started that week because I drank a lot. It was like Christmas, New Year's week,
Mhm.
and I was just like, I don't want to.
You were talking about, community is obviously a big thing with your NA bar and what you're going for. When you did get sober, did your community change? Did you find yourself really, going out and seeking maybe other sober people to hang out with, new friends, anything like that? How did all that change for you?
I really tried not to change too much of my socialization. I still plan to go out to events, and I think that's different for everybody. Some people can't be around
Yeah.
alcohol at all. I didn't tell my friends for a very long time that I wasn't drinking. I would just go out with them and get water, and like
Mhm.
no one ever asked. So I was just like, okay. And that's what I did. I really didn't tell people until I was around the 1 year mark. And that's when I went out with a few of my friends separately and I told them. And I was just like, yeah, I haven't been drinking for a year. I would say I was lucky because I've heard from other people where their friend base was really revolved around drinking, and unfortunately those people had to change their relationships. But I was really lucky in that my friends don't care and I didn't have
Yeah.
that issue. And then my family doesn't really drink, so it wasn't an issue in that area either. My brother was an athlete, and so he's, as far as I know, he's never really drank. He was a professional. He swam. And then my sister-in-law is Muslim, so she doesn't drink. My mom's a doctor. She might have a margarita here and there, but that's about it. She never really got a full, and we're Indian. My family is Indian, so traditionally women didn't really drink a lot. Like, that's not
Mhm.
something
Mhm.
that she even knows what drinking is.
Right.
So my dad, however, did drink, but as a woman, my mom didn't. So it's just like, it's not some, I don't know how it like bled into um
Mhm.
my relationships here other than college. Like, being in college, everybody was drinking, but those same friends didn't notice that I wasn't drinking anymore.
Yeah,
So
people have a tendency to overcomplicate it too, right?
mhm.
Because this is something else. Like, you ask people, like, well, what was it like going out? We have a lot of people in corporate world, like going out for like cocktail hour and stuff. They're like, honestly, you think that people are going to notice and they're going to be like, oh my god, you're not drinking? They really don't. Like, if you don't make a thing out of it, they don't either. And I also love how you bring up mindfulness, because that's another thing
Mhm.
too. Is um whether it's alcohol or mental health or any other substance abuse, whatever, you self, like, whatever you identify as the issue, when you stop clouding that judgment and altering your mind to cope, you start becoming more mindful about other things, right? So since we're talking about alcohol for this purpose, like, so you stop drinking, right? You're like, oh, it's going to make my health better. Well, then you're like, well, okay, so I've quit drinking to make myself healthier. But if I'm still eating like shit and I'm not moving my body,
Yeah.
like, okay, I'm ready for that too. That's what Ryan did. Like, he quit drinking and then he's like, well, now I want to start working out. Well, now I want to do these challenges. And now he's like running 10Ks and 5Ks. And
Wow.
it's funny, I bring up the sourdough, but the reason I started baking like bread in the house is because I'm like, I love carbs. I love bread. It's like one of my favorite things in the world. But it's so bad for you because we have so many preservatives and sugar content that I'm like, sourdough has so many health benefits. I know, I'm that white bitch. I get it. I know. It has so many like health benefits. I'm like, I want to start making this at home because it's healthier and it's something that I can do and see like pretty much instant results. It makes me feel good. It's a dopamine kick. Like most of the things that we work for in our life, it's a slow burn. Like you work for it and work for it and you reap the benefits later. But I was like, I want to be able to create something and like see it born now. So that's part of the same thing, like just becoming more mindful. You become more mindful about the information you're taking in, the energy of people around you, the conversations you're having, and not in a judgmental or like oh, I can't hang out with you anymore. Everyone we come in contact with, every story we hear, every place we're at, we have something to learn from that. And so that's the beautiful thing about it too. I love how it's so much bigger than just alcohol. That's a great place to start. Obviously, that's a great place to start. But you start really paying attention to where like, and there's no judgment to this whatsoever. I don't want for me to go out and get drunk. There is no problem with people who drink. We're the same. We are around alcohol. I have no problem buying, a bottle of wine if we have people over and they want wine at the house. I'm not going to drink it, but you go ahead. It's not what I want for me. And there's some power in being able to hold space for both of those things. And so I love what you're doing with this sober bar is because that's exactly what you're doing. You're like, listen, there are always going to be parameters around what you're creating, but like, it's a place of community where you come and like, maybe there's somebody who's really, really struggling with their sobriety. Mm-hmm. And they're like, I feel so alone. And anytime I get out, I just go to the bar and I get drunk. Like, I don't know how to, where there's a place for me where I can just sit and just exist and know that like, I can just be here. And there are not very many places for that. We're so targeted. This is for this. This is for this. This is for this. There are not many places where you can sit and just exist. And so I really like that concept about your space where you're like, maybe one night if we're doing an event, it will be for this or that. But overall, it is a space where people can come together and just exist for whatever you need. And if you want to enjoy some NA drinks and stuff, that's great too. Or you can come and just hang out and just know that there are accepting, like-minded people who just want to talk and get to know you. I think that is that is so underrated. I love it.
Yeah. No, I mean, and Chris Marshall had brought this up. I did the Sans Bar Academy a while ago about how kind of the original gathering places were places of worship and bars.
Yep.
Bars is where a lot of big movements started. That's where people would go and chit chat about what's happening politically, and movements and uprisings came from, right? And places of worship are also places of community. So I'm trying to kind of bring the two together in a very unique format. And it's about mindfulness. It's also just about, I again, that word addiction, I just feel like the point at which you're calling it an addiction is too late. We need to start thinking about it way before then. Like, oh, okay, when should I really be stopping? Why am I drinking this much? Or, is my relationship with alcohol healthy? That's really more of the question the conversation we should be having, rather than, oh, I'm not an addict or I am an addict. It's not black and white. And I actually feel, looking back, was I on a trajectory to become addicted? And calling yourself an addict, I also don't like. Okay, you're a person with addiction.
Right.
That's two very different things, because you can get help. There are support groups, there's community spaces, there's places like my bar that are going to be there, that whether you have had an issue or you're on that trajectory, you can find a place where you don't have to do it there. You don't have to worry about any of that there. You can just kind of be, like you said.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's a lot like that too. Like he's like I don't call myself an alcoholic. I'm a non-drinker.
non-drinker. Yeah.
And I like that we're doing that too, And I've had to even correct myself and be like, okay, I'm not going to use that word, because who am I to say that? You probably have more to speak on that than I do, but I appreciate that about you, that you're like, I don't like when people call me an alcoholic. I'm a non-drinker.
Yeah. Well, I feel like that if when you start questioning yourself in your head, as you said, do I have a problem? Do I not have a problem? Well, that means you have a problem when you're questioning yourself right away. But number two, you also get to that point where, stuff gets hard, mentally, and just life weighs on you. I mean, you talk about with your story, during the pandemic, and, you lose a job, or an apartment doesn't work out right, or something like that. And then you're like, everything kind of goes out the window, and you're like, oh, screw it. I'm an alcoholic anyway. I might as well just go ahead and drink. And I think people turn to that. That's why I don't really, I'll never identify as that. But, but for people that do and it works for them, great. I don't have an issue with that at all. That just doesn't work for me. And I think it doesn't work for a lot of people, which may be why, there's different forms of recovery out there now. Used to be there was just one. And you were an alcoholic and you went here and that's it.
It's more of a spectrum now, which I really
now it's great, because there's just so many different paths or journeys to get to where you want to be. And I love that. And like your space is one. Any type of NA bar out there is going to be a path for somebody, or a help, or that first step they need to help themselves to either recover or uncover.
Because you're
one
not
or the
alone.
other, which is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that too. And, the thing about it is the reason there's no one size fits all is because whatever you're doing, if you're working it and you are giving energy to it and you are committed to it, then it's going to work for you, right? Like I know a lot of people who AA works great for them. Other people are like, no, it didn't work for me. And it's beautiful because we're seeing that spectrum blossom, right? Like where it is.
That's just being mindful, right? It's about evaluating those parts of your life and just saying, am I doing this that in a way that it's working for me or not? I think more people need to question their relationship with alcohol, and it might be that they're fine. It might also be that they're not, and what they think is fine is a different level than someone else. So that's why I'm saying the word alcoholic. It's like, well, what does that even mean? Okay, maybe there's like a scientific definition of X amount of drinks, but like you just said, for you, that was, even though you were below whatever the limit was or whatever was recommended, that was still too much. You know what I mean? So it's different for everybody, and I feel like the medical definition it's too far. It's too high.
Oh, I 100% agree.
Yeah, there needs to be, like, I had done a survey. Well, actually, it was more of like a, what do you call it? I had a wine tasting, and I had people do a survey and tell me like which products they liked the best. But I had some initial questions, and one of the questions was like, how often do you have a glass of wine? And I had like once a month, once a quarter, and once a year. And people were like, this is so little. You know what I mean? I was like,
where's the daily or the hour one?
I know. Well, and we've really dived into like the neuroscience behind all of it too. And I think that's a big indicator too, because regardless if you're someone who is going to continue to drink, or even if you're someone who wants to stop drinking, knowledge is power, right? So it's like, okay, regardless of what your decision is, let's just break down the science behind it, the neuroscience, what it does to your body, how you digest it, what can be the short-term ramifications versus long-term, or at least for me, like having that information. And, the societal pressure behind alcohol is huge too. And that's a whole other thing, because if you ask people like, do you drink because you genuinely enjoy the taste, or you enjoy the feeling, or whether it be traveling and culture, or do you drink because you just feel like that's what you're supposed to do in that setting? And a lot of people, they're like, I don't know, maybe all of the above, maybe one, who knows? And, you know, I'm a mom, and I really saw the pressure of it with like this whole like mommy wine culture. It's also about, you know, creating a life that you don't want to escape from, that you're not partaking in anything because you're trying to escape or numb something out. Right. I mean, and there are always days where you're like, oh my gosh, I want to go to bed and I just want to forget today happened. We're not talking about the normal, like, you know, but when you're using anything like that to numb out or escapism and not being present and connected with yourself and the things around you, that's when to like, you have to question. And I think you're right. Like the majority of people, it's the societal pressure, how much alcohol really is in everything, in books and movies and in all of the things. It's difficult to discern what is happening when alcohol is involved. Because I mean, I love going to a sober bar and having an NA beer, or like going and being like, oh my gosh, like there's a non-alcoholic wine on here. Or something I really love doing is when we go out to eat is I'll ask the bartenders, like, can you make me a good mocktail, and not something that's like full of sugar and, you know, like I don't want like a virgin strawberry daiquiri, but like something that's more elevated and that is flavorful and uses botanicals and whatnot. And a couple of times they've been like, oh, I put some non-alcoholic tequila in there in order to like flavor profile. And like, that's been a lot of fun too, because it's made me like really connect. Again, it's that whole, you go out and you're enjoying, because we used to love to go out and get like flights of beer and try the different ones. Like, I don't think that you have to give all of that up necessarily just for the health benefits. And so I really see that. But then I have friends who, like my brother, he cannot drink non-alcoholic beer. It's way too triggering for him, right? He is an all or nothing. He is like, he doesn't even take Tylenol PM. And also appreciating that too. It's just really lovely to have these conversations with so many people who have so many different experiences. And you just realize, like, and I say this every time, but for anybody listening, no matter what your experience is, like, you are so not alone. Like, I don't care where you are, what you're doing, how unique or different or you feel. I promise you, there are like literally probably millions of other people around the world who are feeling the same thing. So these spaces like what you're creating are so important, because community is number one with any big life overhaul. Even if you're just like moving or changing jobs, like nobody wants to feel isolated and alone.
Yeah, when I had the idea for the bar, I was pitching it to strangers like constantly here, and I met someone every day who told me that they didn't drink. And it just kept going. You know, I'm not actually tracking it, but I was just surprised to find out how many people would just tell me, "Oh yeah, I don't drink." And it's we just assume people drink. That's the problem, is that we just go to a space and we think everybody's drinking or that's normal, and there are a lot of people that don't drink. You just don't necessarily know because nobody's talking about it. It's not like written on my shirt or something. So yeah, you're definitely not alone. And there's around 24%, 25% of people not drinking, American adults in the US. So, and I think that number's gone up because that number's from 2023. So it's just going to keep growing. And even if they're not completely sober, a lot of people are cutting down on alcohol too. And that's why you're seeing people that do drink that are buying NA product. A lot of times they're just taking a break, or they want to kind of moderate it. There's a lot of resources and options out there now.
Yeah,
So
100%. Well, Cullie, before we get you out of here, and you can give us all your details where everybody can find you and find information about Bar Nun, I want you to go back to, you know, your old days maybe if it's in college or something like that. If you happen to have some funny old drinking story that you could provide us with, we'd greatly appreciate it.
Even a friend or just something that makes you giggle back in your days.
Yeah, I have a lot of stories. Having gone to undergrad in New York, I've been,
I can only imagine.
around alcohol a lot. So.
Anybody who, college will definitely do it.
Especially in New York, I can't even imagine.
I mean, yeah, I still see stuff all the time. But I was going to say one really funny story was when I was still in school and I was actually visiting a friend upstate for her sister's graduation. It's kind of embarrassing, but I think it's funny. She was having a graduation party, beautiful outdoor graduation party. I basically knew no one except for the family. And her parents are Lebanese, and so they had some amazing wine options, and I was just kind of getting into wine. And so I had a little bit too much, and apparently later found out was very chatty and very loud. And also there was a point where I disappeared from the party. And it's because I went to my friend's bedroom and fell asleep on the bed.
You just need
a little cat nap. It's okay.
Yeah, she was like, I was like half on the bed and half off of it. And I was like, cool.
Really tied one on that time, didn't you?
Yeah.
It was you're like, at least I quietly went upstairs and took a nap.
That's right.
It wasn't disruptive, okay?
That's right.
That's fine.
People,
Eating your flowers, anything like that. Just took a little nap. Everything's good.
Right.
They're like, where did she go? And then they found me later.
That's great.
It's funny. Yeah. I think it's funny that it was a graduation, like a high school graduation party or something. But, it's like when you're newly 21 and you first kind of start drinking and you don't really know how much. And
you don't know your limits at all. Yeah.
No, not at all.
Well,
and plus I was around people who made me comfortable in that way.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Warm and welcoming. So,
yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us on the show. We really appreciate it. Tell everybody where they can find out more information about yourself and the bar events.
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram, so it's barnun.life, and I'm also personally I'm on LinkedIn. If you want to find me, it's Cullie Poseria. I think it's going to show my spelling, right?
Yeah, we'll have it all.
Yeah, we'll have it all in there for you.
And then I do have a website. It's the same. It's barnun.life. So feel free to subscribe if you're interested in our emails. I won't spam you. Don't worry. I recommend that if you're locally based because I'm doing pop-up events. And so I'll send you updates when I have new events coming up.
Awesome.
We can't wait to come and see it.
Can't wait to come see it.
In New York.
Yeah.
And our daughter really wants to go to NYU, which I think shocked both of us. So
that's where I went undergrad. So
oh, really? So we may be up there more than once a year.
Yeah, that's her
That's her goal.
That's her goal. And I keep telling her, stop saying that. She's so worried she's not going to get in because it is very competitive. But I'm like, stop saying that. Don't put that out in the universe. So
Well, good luck to her. It's a great school. I loved going to NYU. I'm so grateful for that experience. So happy to chat with her if she ever. But I do think it's a lot more competitive than even when I applied. So but don't worry, she's gonna get in.
She's gonna get in.
Well, next time we're up there, we'll definitely look you up, and hopefully there's an event going on so we can come see it.
So let's just grab coffee, even if you're
absolutely. Well, Cullie, thank you so much, and we'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good. All right, bye. Thanks.
If you love the podcast, which I know you do, please like, subscribe,
and hit that notification bell to get notified every time we post.
That's right. Dropping them, baby.